Welcome to the webinar. So my name is Satish Hegde, and I represent company named Lanquill. So today we have Lavanya Pramod with us. So she comes from the background of corporate sector. She worked in especially e-learning domain. So my background is in fact working with various corporate companies. I extensively work with various universities and colleges in India as well as abroad. So once again, welcome and very good afternoon. So today's subject is email writing. So before starting, let me talk about the entire structure or the flow of the webinar. So this is going to be about 40 minutes, say 40 to 45 minutes you can take, and we can have a discussion, question and answer for about 10-15 minutes. And I'm going to handle the subject email writing, and Lavanya is going to handle the subject Lanquill, because Lanquill is one of the very interesting platform built by a Lanquill team from Bangalore, and Lavanya is going to handle Lanquill, and I'm going to talk about email writing. So the question is, who are you, Mr. Satish? So because why should we listen to you? Because everybody knows about email writing, is it not? So as I mentioned, I come from 2 decades of working in the corporate sector, and especially with universities, colleges, e-learning space in India and abroad. I really work with various, I mean, vice chancellors to students, so with faculty, librarians, etc. So I strongly feel that email writing as a subject, or the webinar is necessary, and that can add value to all of us. So what you can expect today? So obviously, in a span of 35-40 minutes, it's always very difficult to talk in detail about the subject. And see, the takeaway is it's more of reminding ourselves about what are the things we have to take care of, while writing email. Because you may wonder, Mr. Satish, email writing, I mean, do you think a webinar is needed? We day in and day out we write emails, right? So the whole idea is to remind ourselves, to introspect ourselves, to really be mindful while we send the emails. That is the one area, one perspective of looking at it. The second very important perspective is, being a faculty, being a librarians, being a representative of various educational institutes. If we are aware of these minute things, you can say the fine arts of writing an effective email, then I'm sure it can add value to your students. So I'm talking about everybody's life nowadays. So now, uh, before talking about what to do, so okay, so let me talk about bad emails. What are really bad emails? Because nobody is perfect. No email, I can say that 30-40% of our emails may be bad. I mean, it depends on various contexts, right? So let us break down what not to do, or what are the bad emails. Okay, so I'm very sure you are visualizing, or if you really mindfully look back to your email inbox, I'm very sure you can get tons of emails like this. I'm talking about bad emails. Okay, so the first one, the very important one, is incorrect tone. So what do you mean by tone? What do you mean by tone? The tone of the email has to be, in fact, in my opinion, it has to be respectful. You may be writing to your boss, or you may be writing to a student, or you may be writing to a vendor, or you may be writing to a company. I strongly feel that we should give respect, and the entire tone of the email has to be respectful. In fact, if at all you are, say, for example, if you are writing to a chairman of your educational institute, maybe you are extra polite, or say you are addressing to HOD, and HOD sir is uh, he's a senior person, learned person, and you want to be more polite and you want to be more respectful. That you have to understand your customer. I don't say that your tone has to change according to the person. However, according to the situation, you may make the changes, more sharper or stricter tone, or it can be more open, the voice of the email. So it is called the voice, the message you want to convey, and the tone is how you would like to convey the message. So that is called the tone. So your tone has to be respectful. And see, for example, you want your subordinate, or your colleague to complete the task, okay, any task, and he has not completed the task within the stipulated time, and you want to be bit strict, or you want to convey the message clearly. So in that email, probably you will be your tone will be more straightforward, in my opinion. So based on the situation, based on the context, what is that you want to say, to whom you want to say, so those are the factors that you can consider to set the tone of the email. However, let us be very, very respectful in our emails. Okay, so typo errors, this this is a very, very common the thing. We all make mistakes, including me. Of course, I use couple of tools like Grammarly, or Lanquill, or various tools I use. So typo errors, I mean, we should not make any grammar, text, and style mistakes. So, so we are talking about bad emails. So if we receive, email with lot many mistakes, then we think that the person who has sent is not very professional. Say, for example, if it is a typo error, I mean, here and there by mistake you might have done, then I think that is acceptable. However, if there are more mistakes with respect to grammar, with respect to sentence, with respect to structure, or even style, let us discuss what the meaning of style. Uh, so you have to be careful. So we are talking about the bad emails. Okay, so what are the contents of the bad emails? No greeting. I can show you probably one or two emails in my email box. So the type of bad emails. So no greeting. It's like hi. So instead of talking about dear sir, respected sir, or probably dear Lavanya, or dear Satish, respected Gangadhar sir. So instead of mentioning about when mentioning the names, we can see, especially millennials, the young employees, and the young generation, they prefer to say hi, and without greetings, I mean, good afternoon, good morning, and without greetings, directly jumping to the subject. Definitely that doesn't really reflect any good. Too much of content. So this is very important. So nowadays, no one has time. No one. Everybody is busy, and we are all say conditioned for focusing less and less and focusing. I mean, we are all distracted, you can say. So we look at Telegram, we look at WhatsApp, and then meanwhile we look at the emails as well. So if you write too much of content, so I'm very sure nobody is going to look at it. Okay, so CC to too many people. So this is this is the common mistake we all do. See, for example, what we do is we prefer to send the emails. Say for example, there is an event and in a university, and so we are informing to HOD, and we mark CC to all the faculty. Maybe we have to address only to the mechanical department, or only to the computer science department. However, we might add CC to even admin, or even probably some other people who may not be related to that particular event. So my message is that have to be very careful while marking CC. So I always get these type of emails, and when I reply back, so they say, sir, this is a common email we sent from the university, in fact, and we marked CC to you. Anyway, I mean, so no personalization. So yeah, as I mentioned, sometimes what we do is we send a very generalistic type of emails. So these are all the types of bad emails. I'm very sure you can also come up with so many more examples. The idea of this webinar is more of discussion, more of introspection, rather than talking about the subject. So it's more of being mindful about what we are doing. So yeah, so now the question is, why writing a good email is important? So it's very common question, or very basic question probably. So the first thing is, let me give an example. I get so many emails from students, in fact. Okay, so we are a company, IT company, and we hire various engineers. So what happens is, when we hire, say, freshers, so from that particular college, I may receive at least 100, or 100 or 100 odd emails from the students, especially the students who are looking for jobs. So what they do is, they will just send their resume. Let us assume that Lavanya is an MBA student, and she will send me an email. She will just attach her resume. That's it. That's it. So being a MBA graduate, when she is looking for a job in my company, so I mean, I expect a minimum level of understanding, minimum, say, standard, that too from a MBA student or a BTech student, that she has to write a proper email and a proper subject line mentioning what is that she is looking for, why we have to consider her, or what is the job she is looking for. See, for example, Lavanya is a finance, say, BCom graduate. So if she sends her resume to my email ID without any subject, or without body, without content, then for what job I have to consider her? So this is the fantastic example, I can say. And so that shows that the sender is not matured. He or she is not professional, so not learned anything. So it is very important. If I send a bad email, if, say, Satish sends you a bad email, so that shows my professionalism. So you perceive that Satish is not that great. इसका तो उतना, he is not smart, उतना talent नहीं है. And you even perceive that, okay, the company he is working is also not that great. I think that shows the quality, right? In science, there is something called litmus test. Okay, we all use this word to say that it's a question of just litmus testing, just testing. So that is, a bad email can give a very bad impression. So drafting a proper email is very, very, very important. So let us assume that you are a young faculty and you want to switch the job, and you apply to say a great institute, and your email is bad, then obviously the recruiter or the hiring manager of that particular university, he will not entertain. So writing a good email is very important, and clear communication, this is the second point. So let us assume that you are a HOD and you want to convey your message to the students, and your communication has to be very, very clear. So, and the third thing is, the brand image of the institution, right? This is a very, very tricky thing. So if you are representing a great educational institute, then your communication has to be great. Your that shows your personality. So that shows your brand. Okay, it is called voice of communication. It is called voice of communication. Especially if you really see the great corporates, great organizations, great educational institutes. So if that's what I have experienced in my 2 decades of experience, if I talk with say a faculty from a really good educational institute, then that brand image reflects in his personality. So your email always reflect the brand image of your institution. So now we are really into the meat of the subject. Okay, so now we were discussing the context and the background, why it is important, why being a faculty you should really think of writing a proper email. However, now we are talking about the real subject. Now let us assume that being a chief librarian, being a faculty, you want to conduct a webinar. You want to call Satish. I mean, let us assume, or you want to call a professional from say Infosys or some other company to your college or for an online webinar, and you would like to send a email to your boss or director, principal sir, or vice chancellor sir. Now the question is, Wes, the question is, really you want to send an email or you want to go and discuss with him directly? Because your director or principal sir may be very, very busy. See, usually if you really take vice chancellors or chairmans, they would be super busy, and they may not have time to really go through your email and respond back. Okay, so the first question is it possible for you to take a phone and call the person directly? Or probably nowadays WhatsApp is it's very common channel of communication. And can you WhatsApp, or can you really go and meet? Can you discuss face to face? So instead of making a long email chain, can you really go and discuss with the concerned person? That is the fundamental question we all have to ask ourselves. It applies to Satish as well. We all have to ask ourselves whether sending an email is really, really, really necessary. If it is necessary, then only you have to send the email. Okay, so I'll tell you, a very important thing. Always, email is a legal document. So you have to remember this. Okay, so for example, you want to say you represent a university, and you have some patent your students discovered. They have come up with a patent and a product per se, and you want to convey it and in detail to a company or a corporate or an investor or something. So I'm assuming a situation where important thing is there that you are communicating. You have to really think twice because it can be a legal document. It can be, considered as a a document, and it can be forwarded. It can be forwarded to some other person, right? So you have to be very careful about what you write, whether you want to really write or not. And you have to be very very careful about the tone, the language. And if you are angry, never ever write an email. So that's what I request. So if you are angry, after some time, it is better. Say for example, you are very angry about your colleague, and he has sent you an email, and you want to respond to that particular email. So you are a bit angry, and your tone may be different. So be very careful, be very very careful while drafting a email, because it can be forwarded, it can be saved, it can be a legal document. Now, okay, so what you have to do, I mean, sorry, what you should not do. Okay, what you should not do. So these are the, say, by oversight, without really focusing, without really being mindful. We all do these mistakes. We all do these mistakes. Even I do, and even couple of my clients do. And let me explain. You have to reread. This is not the don't. I mean, you have to read. You should not send the email without reading. Always, always before hitting that send button, please read it twice, thrice, and make the necessary changes. Make the necessary changes. You may have to add a comma, you may have to add a sentence, you may have to add a date, you might have forgotten something. So please add, sorry, reread, and make the changes or corrections, okay, before. So what happens is, we will be busy in hurry buri, we always hit the send button. Wait while responding. This is like, it's like यहाँ से bowling किया और वहां से batting किया. No, that should not be the case. So this usually happens. What we do is, say for example, you send me an email and I say, okay, sir, I will create the email IDs for your students, sorry, login IDs for your students and send it back, etc., etc. Instead of that, what I can do is I can probably collect all the data from the librarian sir and then create all the login IDs. If at all I find any challenge, I can come back to you with that particular challenge. And I can say that, sir, we need proper emails of the student, something like that. What I mean to say is wait while responding to the emails, do not reply all. So this is very strange thing happens in the universities or in the institutions or in the corporate sector. We all do this. We hit that reply all button. We hit that reply all button, and our communication will be like it will be like in the public, right? So it reaches to so many people, and the people who are marked in CC, the subject may not be really related to them. So you have to really think whether I have to hit that reply all button or only reply button, whether I'm communicating to the person who has sent me the email, or I want to communicate to everyone. So depending on the context, you have to think and send. Do not add any secrets. So as I mentioned, email can be saved, email can be, it can be saved as a PDF, it can be forwarded, it can be a legal document, you may end up in, trouble. Do not forward the email chains. This is very very important. So usually what happens in the corporate sector, uh, if we forward the email chains, say a vendor or a client or the customer, can really see the kind of hierarchy, the kind of discussions take place inside the organization. We should not do that. Say, for example, I want to work with a university, and you have a lot of internal communication. So say, for example, let us assume that you want to consider Lanquill. So you are comparing other products with Lanquill. You want to say negotiate price with us, and you are internally having a lot of communications, and if you send that email to me, what happens is I will come to know about various conversations happening internally that we should not. So be very careful, very careful while forwarding the email chain, because you have to set the tone. If you are, say, for example, if you are reaching out to a senior HOD sir or senior faculty, or say chairman sir, then you want to be extra polite, obviously, right? You want to be extra polite, you want to give more respect, you want to add more words like kindly, respectfully, please, etc., etc. So now the question is, you can see, I mean, this particular email is opening. The question is there are various studies that shows that 90% of the emails never opened by the target audience. So we get lot of junk emails, right? So what happens is, in this too many emails, people really are not really keen to really open and check the email, unless your subject line is really compelling. I am repeating, unless your subject line is really compelling. Okay, so for example, so your university or your educational institute has, say, a e-learning course. You are say reaching out to various corporate sector. You have executive MBA. Let us assume you are a private university, or you are a private engineering college where you are offering various courses, online MBA courses, or online some cyber security courses or something. So what has to be the subject line, that you have to really think. The value proposition, the gist of the content has to be added in the subject line. So if you really Google, you will get lot many tools to come up with email subject line. So sorry, those type of tools are also available. So why I am telling this is, unless you write a compelling subject line, people will not open your email at all. Okay, so subject line is very important. Then tone, yeah, we already talked about the tone. Let us be very respectful in our drafting, in our crafting of email. Now one more thing, if you write, say, too many subjects in one email, then I mean, always we get confused. It is always better if you write one subject in one email. So for example, I'm just thinking, for example, so you want to call all the students for an event, or there are two things here. One is there is an event in your auditorium, and the students, they have to join for the webinar, online webinar. Okay, so it is, I mean, the same event is also, it is also it is basically you are adding it to some online platform, and the students can access it. So that is a scenario. So now if you write one email adding these two subjects, students may get confused. So it is always better, you can ask the students, uh, ask them to join the session inside the auditorium, and another email saying that if at all you are not available in the campus, then with the help of this link you can attend this particular webinar or a session online as well. So two different emails. I'm just thinking aloud. You can come up with tons of examples. So be very mindful that you add one subject in one email. So you can see this word crisp and clear. So what happens is I just showed you one email just about few minutes back. You could see that he has written a book, or he has written a newsletter, entire newsletter inside the email itself. No one is going to read the entire email if we add too many paragraphs. There are various studies, and if you Google you can get, there are various studies, and if your email or the content has less than about 10, not even 10, I mean 10, 8 to 10 sentences, then there are more chances of conveying that message. See, at the end of the day, you want to communicate the content of the subject, and it has to be very, very crisp and clear. Please try to delete couple of unnecessary words when you reread and when you redraft. So be very, very clear and crisp, and please do not add too many paragraphs. So now, for example, I get a lot of emails from companies, various companies. So being in the corporate sector, or being a faculty, or being a librarian of educational institute, I'm very sure you also get emails from companies. So what happens is we can see that dear sir, good afternoon, or greetings will be in one font, and the font size will be different, and the entire content of the email will be in different font or size. So you can easily conclude that this is a copy and paste, is it not? So be very careful. So what happens is sometimes we try to say copy and paste from Google, or from some other website, and you have to be very, very careful about the font. It is always better to use the basic one, the basic the font and size, instead of going for a fancy one, because fancy ones are great but very difficult to read and understand. Okay, so uh, you have to take care of type. See, usually 12 is the 12 or 14 is a proper size. And one more thing, see, when I was in college, once I used uh, all capitals. So you should not use all capital letters in the email, because especially in Europe and US, it is considered as shouting. If at all you want to shout at somebody, then you use the capital letters. That I was not aware of. I'm sure you are all aware of that. And do not copy and paste grammar, text and style errors. So this I have already mentioned. So what you mean by style? Style is basically, you use couple of formal English, and you will not use any slangs. Okay. However, I have not seen many, especially in an Indian context. I haven't, in my experience, I have not seen many of Indians using slangs, because it is not our English is not our mother tongue and not our first language. So we hardly use slangs. However, it is always not to use slangs in the email, and proofread again and again. It is always better to proofread. Okay. No acronyms. So what you mean by acronyms? See, for example, I may say that please send all the details of the students ASAP. Okay, so what you mean by ASAP? So may not be, say for example, if you are a young faculty, you may not be or I may not be aware of the acronyms you use. ASAP is basically ASAP. That is not ASASP. That is ASAP. So that is like as soon as possible. So very commonly used. So let us not, let us not use any acronyms. You may come up with tons of examples probably. So what happens is, the person who receives the email may not be aware of these acronyms and, may wonder the meaning of your acronyms. So it is always better to use the sentences rather than acronyms. Okay, so inside the organization, we all use these acronyms. So I'm sure in your university or in your educational institute probably you also use. So for example, see, I used to coordinate with one of the government department. So instead of a place called Davanagere here in Karnataka, so they use DVG. Okay, for Bangalore they use BNG. So if you are from say Assam, you may not be aware. I mean, what is this BNG? Okay, so that is Bangalore. Okay, so yeah, so that is one of the example. So no humor. So humor in email is not really entertained. However, I have seen many of the millennials, the young generation, they use emojis. But in the professional setup, I don't see that can add really value. So if at all you want to add humor in the professional setup, I don't say that is a great thing. If at all you are writing to your close friend, then probably humor, you can add the humor there. So add call to action. This is what we all forget. This is a very important thing. What is this call to action? See, for example, Lavanya has sent you a mail and what she said is that, register here. So that is the call to action. See, for example, say you send me a mail saying that Satish, why don't you say create login IDs and passwords on Lanquill platform for our students and etc. etc. I mean, you write lot many things and you in fact you want to really convey that I have to create the login IDs and passwords. Okay, so in the last line there should be a call to action. So you want to call me for a webinar or a session in your institute. So you have to say that, okay, Mr. Satish, register here for our webinar. So that is called call to action. It is also called CTA, call to action. So what is that the receiver has to do? So you are sending say say a faculty saying that he has to submit a form, then that is the call to action. There should be probably you add a link or give a link, share a link to particular faculty in that email and ask him or her to fill it. Be careful about CC, BCC and reply all. Reply all we have already discussed. So while you add CC, you have to be, you have to be really mindful whether you want to really convey that message to everyone, because this usually happens. So what happens is, especially in the corporate setup, what happens is, we all love to say that I'm working. I want to convey that, I'm working to my boss. So what I do is I add CC, CC to my boss in every conversation. So so the whole idea is, the intention is that I want to show him that I am really working hard. But imagine your boss or your colleague may be getting so many emails and it should not end up in spam. Okay, so if at all it is very important, really important, you can add CC. And BCC, I don't recommend it, because if you add BCC, what happens is, the person who receives the email will not come to know that you have added some other XYZ in BCC. So usually in the corporate sector, what happens is, If you want to send a mass email, then in the corporate sector it is extensively used. The whole intention is, to send a individual email. So if Lavanya wants to send a individual email to you, then what she does is she will add her own email ID in the two, and then add BCC, the emails in the BCC, so that individual can get the individual emails. Now it's more of ethical question as well. So you have to really think whether you really want to add people in BCC or not. So now, while if at all you want to reply all, be very careful. It will go to, the email will reach to many people. So be very careful. So thank you very much. So this is more of bird's eye view, I can say, and it's more of touching couple of points because of time constraint. I'm not really able to discuss in detail. I'm going to share this uh, PPT template and the recorded video to each and everyone. If at all it adds value, I am the happiest person. And now I would like to, hand over the session to Lavanya. Before that, let me talk about Lanquill. Lanquill is, in fact, a online language lab where your students can practice LSRW skills. So this platform can help your students to be more proficient in English, and they can be more employable.
As you can see here, as Satish sir explained, so what is Lanquill? It is an AI-enabled, AI-supported English grammar, text and style analysis tool, and Lanquill has content assessment and certification. So what you're seeing here is this is my personalized dashboard, and also here this is my profile wherein it provides the native language support. So Lanquill is a platform which is enabled with native language support. As you can see, there are many different languages here. So you can choose your comfortable language. So mine is English. I'm going to choose this. Okay, this is about my profile. And again, coming back to the dashboard, here you can see my dashboard has different skills. So what are these skills? So listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar, and vocabulary. So here you can see my average score here. So how good I am in listening, how good I am in speaking, reading, and also many more. So coming to listening skills. So what it does. So what you can do is there are some of the insights. So these are some of the best practices that has been provided on the right hand side. You can just have the students can go through it. Okay. So now when I go to practice now, I'm going to play the audio. So the audio is displayed. The audio is played here. So the students should listen to the audio and properly understand and try answering all these questions in a stipulated time mentioned here. So it definitely improves in their listening skills and how far they are very good at listening and understanding the content. I mean, understanding the title, understanding the audio title. Okay. Then coming to the speaking, here also, what I mean, I will go to the practice now. So there is a script that is displayed here. So what I do is I'm going to start record. I'm going to read this. This strange exoplanet was first discovered in 2013 with the Magellan telescopes at the Las Campanas Observatory in Chile's Atacama Desert. Now I'm going to stop it. So my score is just 36. What it tells us, you can do better, and either you can try again or try a new script, or you can create a script here. Okay. So I mean, the speaking is very important here, I believe. So what it does is the machine will check what are the mistakes that I am making, how clearly I am speaking, is my volume is really good enough, and my clarity in speaking as well. Now, coming to the reading part, again, so as my score is just 24% here, so I'll go to the practice now. So here there is a passage. So you can see a bit, a pretty good passage here. So what the students has to read the passage, understand the passage, comprehend, and they need to answer these questions in the time mentioned here. So these passages are usually, they can, whenever they want to, write competitive exams, these passages, they are really helpful so that they can perform better. Now, coming to the writing here, practice now. So this is one of, Lanquill has, Lanquill is providing a wonderful tool here. So what here is, here there are new document upload, my documents and my dictionary. So what I will do is, I'm going to go to my,
being a faculty or being a student or being a librarian, what you have done is you have either written on this platform or uploaded a thesis report, let us assume. So what it does is Lanquill can give you detailed metrics about the grammar mistakes you have made, style mistakes you have made, and even the vocabulary mistakes you have made. So it also covers all the subcategories as well. The whole idea is that your students they can write or they can upload their written document, and what they can do is they can learn from the mistakes they have done. Okay, so now for example, if I go here and click, so you can see that the platform has identified the mistakes I have done with respect to grammar. I can auto correct it, or even I can look into the example and incorrect examples as well, and even the suggestion. So let me assume that I studied in a vernacular language and I can even switch on Hindi, Kannada or Tamil, etc., etc. So the whole idea is the students they will write, or the faculty he or she publishes a document or writes a documents and then use the platform to make the corrections with respect to grammar, text and style. So as Lavanya was mentioning, so Lanquill is a platform where your students can practice listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar and vocabulary. So and they can also learn content. They can learn content and they can go for assessments, and they can go for even certifications as well. So how it is useful for your students? See, for example, being an educational institute, you want to have better NAC accreditation, and you want your students to get better jobs, and your students they want to compete in competitive exams. So for all these purposes, so Lanquill can be very helpful. So we are partner of AICTE, NEET platform of AICTE, and working with various universities and various educational institutes. So today we have our many of our esteemed clients as well. So they have also joined for our webinar today. And if at all you want to know more about Lanquill platform, I have already shared my email ID in the chat box. Because of time constraint, it's already 4:02, and you can please send me a mail, and Lavanya is going to share a detailed document about Lanquill and a video. Of course, I have also shared a video link. You can copy and you can also test Lanquill platform, and we are very keen to explore a joint certification with your educational institute, and we can really have a detailed walkthrough of the platform, uh, uh, how it can add value to your educational institute, and especially to your students. So I'm concluding this. So Lanquill is a online language lab where your students can practice listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar, and vocabulary. Okay, so you can see the all real time, marks here, real time scores here. The students will get 1 year unlimited practice, 1 year access. They can avail 7 levels of certifications here. They can read content, they can take assessments here. Okay, so here, it's a place where they can come and read content, foundation level topics, intermediate level topics as well. Lanquill has even concurrent monitoring system, and of course admin dashboard, etc. So if at all you want to explore more, and if at all you want to give a joint certification with the logo of your educational institute to your students, please let me know. You can send a mail to Lavanya or to me, and based on your availability, I'm going to be available and conduct a detailed walkthrough of the